An unusual occurrence transpired on the frigid night of February 8th, 1855 in Devon, England. The winter of that year was characterized by exceptionally low temperatures. Historical accounts indicate that temperatures hovered around freezing from January through March. The persistent cold prevented snowfall from melting, and each subsequent snowfall merely contributed an additional layer to the landscape. These severe weather conditions created an ideal environment for the extraordinary events which would transpire that night. In today's episode, we will look into the frightening case of the Devil's Footprints. According to multiple witness accounts from that time, after a heavy snowfall on the night of February 8th, 1855, mysterious hoof marks suddenly appeared all over South and East Devon. The hoof marks were reported to measure approximately 4 inches long, 3 inches across, and were spaced between 8 and 16 inches apart, predominantly in single file. Reports about these footprints came from around 30 different locations in Devon. The combined footprints had a reported length of between 40 and 100 miles. It seemed like the creature that left the traces could overcome any obstacle. Footprints were found over houses, frozen rivers, haystacks, snow-covered roofs, high walls, and also inside drain pipes. Here is a part of one news report that describes the event. It appears on Thursday night last, there was a very heavy snowfall in the neighbourhood of Exeter and the south of Devon. On the following morning, the inhabitants of the above towns were surprised at discovering the footmarks of some strange and mysterious animal endowed with the power of ubiquity, as the footprints were to be seen in all kinds of unaccountable places, on the tops of houses and narrow walls, in gardens and courtyards, enclosed by high walls and palings, as well as in open fields. The first footprints were discovered on February 9th, 1855 in Topsham, a small town in Devon. Villagers awoke to find peculiar cloven hoof-style tracks marked in the overnight snowfall. The single-file prints looked as if they had been seared into the snow by a hot iron. With their devilish shape, many concluded these must be the footsteps of Satan himself. The footprints appeared over a huge area, from Exmouth up to Topsham and across the Exe estuary to Dawlish and Teignmouth. Some reports also claim prints appeared even further south to Totnes and Torquay and as far away as Weymouth, Dorset and Lincolnshire. The phenomenon caused widespread panic and alarm among the townspeople. Many were too frightened to leave their homes after dark during the scare. Parents kept children indoors, church attendance rose, and villagers huddled together for protection. According to one account, women fainted with fear and children screamed with terror as they tried to escape from the pursuing monster. Over the next few days, reports emerged of similar footprints appearing in overnight snowfall from over 30 towns across southern England. The hoof marks extended in peculiar straight lines and geometric shapes for dozens of miles, even traversing over walls, roofs, haystacks, and over trees. To the local population, this suggested a supernatural origin. First-hand evidence of this event is exceedingly rare. The earliest written accounts of this phenomenon surfaced in 1950 following the discovery of a collection of documents belonging to Reverend H.T. Ellacombe, the vicar of St. George in the 1850s. These documents encompassed his personal letters, some tracings of the footprints, and a letter to the Illustrated London News marked "Not for publication." Here is a segment of that letter. The marks which appeared on the snow, which lay very thinly on the ground at the time, and which were seen on Friday morning to all appearances, were the perfect impression of a donkey's hoof, the length 4 inches by 3 inches. But instead of progressing as that animal would have done, or indeed as any other would have done, feet right and left, it appeared that foot had followed foot in a single line, the distance from each tread being 8 inches, or rather more, the footmarks in every parish being exactly the same size, and the steps the same length. The footprints were subsequently referred to as devil's footprints, or tracks of Satan, due to their shape and resemblance to a cloven hoof. A number of individuals began to genuinely believe that the devil himself was the creator of these footprints. Fear gripped the community for an extended period following the incident, and many refrained from venturing outdoors after midnight. In Dawlish, a seaside town in Devon, the local paper described the prints as clearly cloven-hooved, yet unlike anything known to naturalists. Residents were so disturbed that many refused to leave their homes at night. In Limpston village, the tracks manifested inside homes with no visible point of entry. As one baffled resident, George Marshall, described, "I saw marks of feet setting towards the door. It was a rainy, muddy morning. I got a broom and cleaned the marks away so that nobody saw them. The moment I saw the marks, I said, 'Good God, the devil has been here.'" Since this mystery was first investigated, there has emerged a multitude of theories regarding the origin of the traces in the snow. A recent study conducted by Mike Dash, a distinguished Welsh writer, historian and researcher, posits that there was no singular source of the footprints. According to him, some of those tracks were most likely hoaxes. Most of them were probably made by farm animals, such as donkeys and ponies. Still, at the end of his study, Dash admits that not all of the marks can be explained, which allows for the mystery to continue. Dash's proposition that a portion of the footprints may have been created by hopping rodents appears plausible. He observed that the marks left by wood mice bear a resemblance to those of a creature with cloven hooves. The British novelist Geoffrey Household had a different idea about the traces. He believed that an experimental balloon was mistakenly released on the Devonport dockyard. According to Geoffrey, the balloon had made the traces in the snow by dragging 2 shackles attached on the end of its mooring ropes. Household claimed that this was a true event about which he heard from a man called Major Carter, whose grandfather had worked at Devonport at the time. According to Carter, this incident had been covered up because the balloon damaged a few greenhouses and windows before it finally went down somewhere close to Honiton. Another theory from July 1855 suggests that the traces were made by groups of hungry badgers searching for food that night. Badgers are quadrupeds that leave a large footprint. One additional theory that has been mentioned on numerous occasions is that the entire commotion surrounding the footprints may be attributed to a phenomenon of mass hysteria. This was likely instigated by individuals observing a variety of animal tracks and subsequently failing to differentiate them as distinct. Regardless of the truth, this event likely presented a peculiar spectacle for those individuals 161 years ago and continues to command our fascination today. This concludes today's episode of the Paranormal Report. If you enjoyed today's episode, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel. It is due to your continued viewership and support that we are able to bring you interesting and informative videos like this. The team here at the Paranormal Report really appreciates your support.